Worldwide, at least 18% of bird species nest in tree holes, which are also known as cavities. The region with the most cavity-nesting bird species is Central and South America, with over 600 species. These species include woodpeckers, who excavate their own cavities. But other species like parrots, toucans, and flycatchers can't create their own nesting holes, so they have to find existing ones.
My name is Alison Ke. I'm a PhD student in ecology at UC Davis, and this year I started a project on cavity nesting birds in Ecuador.
My overall goal is to protect wildlife in human-dominated landscapes. For this project, I decided to focus on cavity nesting birds because when humans cut down forests for farming, that destroys their nesting habitat.
First, I wanted to show whether or not deforestation reduces nesting habitat. To do this, I selected 10 half-hectare plots, half in forest and half in agriculture, and I searched for cavities in them. I found over 4 times the number of cavities in forest than in agriculture, meaning farms may have limited nesting habitat for birds.
Yeah, nice.
The next step is to understand if birds are using these cavities and if they can successfully reproduce. Originally, I planned to climb trees to look inside the cavities, but I quickly learned that it was not feasible. There were too many cavities, the trees were up to 40 meters tall, and climbing was too time-consuming. Instead, we will observe the cavities from the ground every week to see if they are being used.
I'm also interested in whether cavity nesting birds are limited by their nesting habitat or other factors like food resources or predators.
To understand this, I started an experiment to see what happens if we add nesting habitat to forest and agriculture. We built 60 nest boxes of 2 different sizes and put them up in half of the plots to see if they affect the bird species present and their reproduction.
If more birds are using the nest boxes in agriculture than in forest, then I can assume that birds are more desperate for their nesting habitat in agriculture, and they're more limited by that habitat as well. That would also mean that nest boxes could be a really successful conservation strategy for promoting these cavity nesting species.
We monitor the nest boxes weekly using a pole with a small video camera on it, and record things like the species using the boxes and the number of eggs. We also use motion-triggered cameras to measure how often birds visit their nest and if eggs or chicks get eaten by predators. After a couple weeks, some birds already began nesting in the boxes. This species, the house wren, fills up nest boxes with sticks. They eat insects, meaning they could potentially help humans by eating crop pests. To maintain my project, I'm working with local researchers from a conservation NGO, Fundación para la Conservación de los Andes Tropicales. I will return to Ecuador several times this year to check up on my project.
I really love international fieldwork. I get to learn about new cultures, get more connected with nature and the people around me, and I get to see really cool animals every day.
I hope to help understand how deforestation affects bird reproduction and continue thinking of ways to benefit birds and people.